So in Acts 21 and verse 5, we've got Paul in the middle of his journey to Jerusalem. He has said in chapter 20, I'm going even though I know persecution is awaiting me there. And then there are other people there in Tyre, the city where they are. And it says at the end of verse 4, or in verse 4, finding disciples there, they stayed with them. And through the Spirit, these Christians in Tyre urged Paul not to go to Jerusalem. And then verse 5 says, but when our time was up, right? I mean, I read that and I think of how many times I've been at the point where my time was up. I was through listening to people trying to talk me out of what I believed God wanted me to do. And the time was up. And so it says here that they left and continued on our way. And I just think how many times that I've had to do that. Listen, there are a lot of people. Christian people. They say they're Christian. They might be. I guess they are. I'm not. But Christian people, family, people you go to church with, they are not. They will not see your vision. They listen to the same sermons at your church. They read the Bible. Hopefully they're reading their Bible. Hopefully they're listening when the preacher's preaching. But they are not going to see the vision that you have, that God has put in your life. You can try to explain it, and you can see on their face they do not get it. All right? And so there's going to come a time where you're just going to have to get up and go, and you're, like it says there in verse 5, your time's done. You got to move on. You got to keep following what God is doing. They're not going to feel your passion. You can tell it in the words that they say, in the look on their face. They don't have your vision. They don't feel the passion that's in your life. I mean, sometimes you can see that they're getting a glimpse of it, maybe, and maybe a taste of it. You can see the smile on their face, or maybe the excitement in as they listen to you. But they're going to think they're doing you a favor by trying to talk you out of following what God's doing in you. They're going to think they're doing you a favor by trying to discourage you from going. And there's going to be distractions where they're going to try to dangle. There'll be things around you. They're going to be dangling a carrot, something shinier and latest and greatest distraction that's going to come your way. It's going to come from people who say they love you, and they probably do, but they don't share your vision. They don't have a passion like you do for the glory of God. God's doing something in you. He's not doing it in them. And you can see that by the look on their face and the words that they say. They're going to try and talk you out of following what God's doing in you. They're going to try and talk you out of the passion that's in your heart and the vision that God is given you. And there are going to be so many distractions. Listen, I had just come back from Mozambique with the pastors and Pastor Francesco. At the end of our time there, he said he'd been praying for 8 years. 8 years he'd been praying for someone to come and teach basic Bible and theology to the pastors of this area. And there I was doing it. I didn't know he had prayed for that, but I got to be the answer to his prayer. Now I'm sitting in McDonough, Georgia at the Waffle House near Union Grove High School with my buddy Jeff. And this guy walks up. He knew that I was a coach, and this guy walks up. He said, "Hey, Coach." I'm sitting at the Waffle House with Jeff, and I'm sitting there, and he walks up. He says, "Hey, man, I'm looking forward to next year. We got a great season coming up. There's a new guy coming. He's he's a running back, and he runs this fast, and he's got this many yards, and he's got this many touchdowns, and he could bench press this much." And I'm looking up at him, and he's talking to me. I'm looking over at Jeff, knowing what we just talked about, and I'm trying not to be rude to this dad who's excited about this new kid coming, to the school. And I'm looking at Jeff, and I'm looking at this man, and I'm just thinking, Lord, I hope I'm not being being rude to this guy because I don't give a rip, how fast this kid can run and how much he can bench and how many touchdowns he's got. I don't care. I don't care because I just had a man a few days earlier tell me he'd been praying for 8 years for somebody to come and teach the Bible and to the pastors there in Gorongosa. So I don't care how fast your boy runs. It pales in comparison to what I've just seen on the other side of the world. And so there are going to be people, and there's going to be distractions that are going to come your way, and they're going to try to steal your passion for God. They're going to try to, they're not going to see your vision. They're certainly not going to understand why you would go to the other side of the world with the gospel. And listen, your obedience is going to bring about a peace in your heart that you have obeyed what God has told you to do. It's going to bring about a peace that no money, no championship ring, no praise of men will ever be able to satisfy. So I want to encourage you, do what God is stirring your heart for. Listen to Him. Listen to the Spirit of God while you're reading the Bible, and then do what He is stirring your heart to do. You won't be sorry. You won't have any regret.